Every month, Stephanie and I put together a special report, the Peter Leeds exclusive, which is only for people who are members of the Peter Leeds Army. But sometimes we write something so cool that I really want to share it with you because you're going to really benefit from it. If you're interested in joining the Army, details below. It's going to cost about 10 cents a day. But let's get into it. I'm going to show you this month's Army report, which focuses on a couple major issues that are going to affect you that you need to know about. Dear friends, the story right now is not the government shutdown. Rather, I believe we should be focused on two more significant things: China falling and artificial intelligence rising. Keep in mind, these two things are not related to each other. I don't mean to make it seem like that, but these are the two things we talked about in this month's report. Welcome to the channel. My name is Peter Leeds, and we're all about getting you profits quickly and easily.
Peter Leeds.
Premium Investor Enlightenment.
We'll start off by putting a little bit of light onto some of the problems that China is facing right now. And then we'll get into the artificial intelligence right after. Make sure to wait for that part. There's some really cool stuff I'm going to show you. China is fading in 6 ways, mostly at once. Their demographics are horrible. They don't have enough young people to support the old people. The total population is in decline for the first time in who knows how long. And there's a major youth unemployment problem. In fact, China's urban youth unemployment rate has risen to 21%, up from 15.4% 2 years earlier. And the reason that the unemployment rate isn't too bad is because a lot of these younger people who are unemployed are going to be just fine, because until recently, a lot of their parents had property which went up 5 times, 10 times in value. So they don't have a job, many of them, but they're not in financial hardship yet, so to speak. And number 2, the imports to China have fallen sharply year over year, down 7.3%. Most of China's imports consist of machinery and apparatus, including semiconductors, computers, and office machines, chemicals, and fuels. The main import sources are Japan, Taiwan, South Korea, Australia, the countries of the European Union, and the United States. And at the same time of all this, number 3, exports from China have collapsed. Year over year, they're down 8.8% so far. And you guys know the big one, the real estate implosion in China is taking down a whole portion of their population economically, because there's not a lot of easy ways to buy and sell stocks in China. It's not the same as in America. In China, if you want to invest, you're almost certainly investing in real estate, which just so happens to have just imploded, and we don't know how bad it's going to get. The real estate collapse started with Evergrande. You guys know all about this, and it spread rapidly. It's still spreading. This is from the New York Times. Tremors in China's real estate market are shaking the country's economy, as well as the world, which has come to rely on China as a reliable engine of growth. This is what I was telling you about in that previous video. China had so much growth that all the other countries in the world benefited from it. They tapped into China's growth, and as China's growth rounds the corner and comes down, China will be more of a weight on other countries rather than a wind in their sails. Major developers are faltering as they face huge losses, struggle with mountains of debt, and miss payments to lenders, which are also known as defaults. And number 5, China has a major problem with their technologies. The U.S. government, starting under then President Donald Trump, is cutting off access to a growing array of tools to make chips for computer servers, artificial intelligence, and other advanced applications. Biden has just extended what Trump started, and the next president will probably do the exact same thing. And China does have its own chip foundries, but they only supply low-end kind of technologies, not the really high-end stuff that you would get in Germany or America. China has its own chip foundries, but they supply only low-end processors used in autos and appliances. Despite wide support for China's semiconductor self-sufficiency drive, industry professionals said bottlenecks in the country's chip equipment sector extend far beyond closely watched lithography systems and include etching, robotic arms, valves, high-end tubes, materials, and certain other equipment. And here's a big one that not a lot of people are talking about, but we're watching it for a while now. Number 6, another problem China's got, their internal velocity of money is falling off a cliff. Here's a chart to show you how bad this situation is right now. And it's no different than what you're seeing in America with the velocity of money falling off a cliff. But it's happening in China along with 5 other things all at once that are going to be putting so much strain on this nation in so many ways from so many different angles. And nobody knows how this is going to turn out. I certainly don't. You don't. Nobody knows how this is going to go, which is exactly why you should be keeping an eye on it. That's where the opportunity comes from. Case in point, Drew went through the Peter Leeds Academy for a third or fourth time on Chapter 9 of Penny Stocks for Dummies. $426 profit, $1,048, $400, $699, $705, a loss of $1,351, a gain of $1,106, $603. These kinds of gains are ready for you anytime you want to get involved with us. This is from Forbes. Both the M2 money supply and private credit growth rates have plunged and are way below their trend rates for growth. A lot of this is because, as I've told you about many times, especially recently, even people in China are buying things from China. We're certainly not buying things from China if you're from Europe or if you're from North America. That's really declined a lot. But even internally, there's not a lot of economic activity, especially as real estate comes down. People feel less wealthy, they spend less money. And now we'll move on to the other thing I talked about in the letter for the Peter Leeds exclusive, which is available only to people who are members of the Peter Leeds Army, peterleeds.com/army. As low as 10 cents a day. Artificial intelligence will wipe out many careers. This isn't anything you didn't already know, but I don't know if you understood how significant and current this issue is going to be. Digital actors, AI movies, and computer music will wipe out many conventional jobs. This is not simply a thought exercise any longer. There are many major unavoidable and inbound consequences right now. It's no surprise that both the actors and the writers are on strike right now, and the last aspect of the dispute is a wording surrounding the use of artificial intelligence. This very morning I met with Jeremy, our graphic designer and Peter Leeds team member, and he showed me a computer-generated song of Kurt Cobain, who is deceased, as you certainly know, singing Everlong by the Foo Fighters. In case you didn't catch the significance there, this is a brand new song and sounds as if Kurt had actually sung this song, even though he never did. Give me Johnny Cash singing Smells Like Teen Spirit, and it just pops up and you're good to go. People don't need to buy music anymore. You already don't have to because of Spotify, etc., starting with Napster back in the day. Movie production studios are currently developing several fake actors right now. Entire movies will look just as good, and these characters will seem like real people, and the salary costs to the studios will be approximately zero.
AI is a major issue for picketing writers and actors, including some big names.
We will not be having our jobs taken away and giving to robots.
Fears are growing because AI is evolving so quickly. For example, a company called Speechify can clone voices like Snoop Dogg's,
this is a clone voice,
or Gwyneth Paltrow's, and convert text to speech instantly.
All it takes is the click of a button.
It's not just voices. AI is supercharging visual effects like this technology from Wonder Dynamics that can swap out real faces and figures with 3D characters far faster than ever before.
Nothing is going to stop this trend, actors strike or not. But here's the pivotal point. This is the part that's really important in this letter. I mean, it all is important, but this is also super important. What I said was, here's the pivotal point. The demographic which will drive this movement will not be you or I. It will be the ones who are actively spending the most money. In other words, as always, that's 16 years old to 35 years old. Those are spenders. As you get older, you don't spend as much and you save more. And the 16 to 35-year-old age group does not care about the authenticity of the songs, the actors, of anything as much as we do or as much as we did. They're just as fine to listen to music created by artificial intelligence as any music created by an actual human. Artificial intelligence is doing things like this. I'll show you on screen right now, and they're absolutely loving it, of course. In a case in point, I wanted to give you just to show you a real world example of how artificial intelligence is wiping out entire careers instantly. My company would spend money on voiceovers, hundreds of dollars on voiceovers. Suddenly, the entire cost for voiceovers for my entire company is pretty close to zero. All of this is completely deflationary. And we will never go back to the way things were. These lost jobs are forever lost jobs. This is a bad thing? Yes, if you lose your job, but you could have kept people in the line of work where they're still making horseshoes, but we don't need as many horseshoes or buggy whips. And you might say we could protect the jobs by supporting the buggy whip industry, but eventually progress just keeps on moving. And you're left behind making buggy whips and horseshoes. This isn't where we're going. We're going that way. So just get used to the new world. This is what it's going to be. There's so many transitions right now just because people are starting to realize, just like I did recently, I don't pay for a voiceover. And Jeremy was talking about, he's a graphic designer and he's a musician. Both those industries are completely getting wiped out right now. So to sum up these points, bring it all together, the things going on with China right now, and the way that artificial intelligence is changing so many things right now all at once. There's a whole bunch of things you need to consider, a lot of opportunities, a lot of risks right now, and we're keeping an eye on it for you. That's why you subscribe to this channel. But listen to this. I believe the rise of artificial intelligence and the fall of China will both lead us into a world which will look very different over the next year or years. Many of the best opportunities are going to be coming from these two unrelated events, and we're going to keep a close watch on both of them for you. And the Peter Leeds exclusive goes on to talk about target acquisition. We got a digital health tech firm that the Peter Leeds newsletter picked this month, 12% gain, only 2 weeks. A security tech company that rose 8% in 2 days after we talked about it. A play on midstream petroleum sector, which inched up 6% 3 days after we discussed it. Not a bad performance for September, traditionally one of the stock market's weakest months. Then it goes on to long-range surveillance, market intelligence, but that is going to be reserved for people who are members of the Peter Leeds Army. We do everything for you guys. You guys show support for our channel. We work extra hard. We put up more videos. We do more in-depth analysis, and we just keep on doing our best job for you, members of the Peter Leeds Army.
Please show your support by subscribing to our underrated YouTube channel.